What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another zombies discussion video. Today I'm going to be talking about why I just simply cannot trust Treyarch anymore. I am still excited for Black Ops 7. I still am looking forward to the game, but this is not the same Treyarch that we used to know, which is my first bullet point here. This Treyarch is not the same one that brought us games like Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, even Black Ops 4. The creativity and the map differentiation is just not there anymore. You think about back to when Blundell was in charge, we were getting banger after banger. We were getting Mob of the Dead. Then he went on to make Origins. Then he went on to make Shadows, Der Eisendrock, Zetsubo, Gurad Krovi, and Revelations. Now, some of those maps aren't as liked as others, but my point is that those maps all felt very, very different from another, and we just don't get that anymore. But anyways, I'll dive more into that in just a second. My next point is Black Ops 6 just was given up on halfway throughout its life cycle, and you can tell. You really can. It shows. Once the Tomb came out, you can tell that Treyarch was rushing the rest of the zombies maps. You could tell that not as much time and love and effort was being put into any zombies map at that point. And it just made for a nasty storm that kind of left a bad taste in everybody's mouth with BO6. Because honestly, I do think BO6 launched very strong. But again, this is just not the same Treyarch that we used to know. They have different priorities, aka Warzone, and zombies just gets treated as a side mode, sadly. I mean, you can tell in the gameplay. I mean, look at what you're watching on the screen right now. Does this, while I think that this survival map was fine, does this compare to an Origins or a Mob of the Dead? Absolutely not even close. It's just, it comes across as, I don't want to say lazy, but way too similar and plays it way too safe. Does not take any big swings, but also isn't really a bad map in the sense. It's just boring compared to what we used to get. And another reason that you can tell Black Ops 6 was given up on is there is no super Easter egg whatsoever. Guys, I want to put this into perspective. I think Black Ops 6 is a much better game than Cold War, but even Cold War had a super Easter egg. Even Cold War, and I believe it was just you started with a blue rarity weapon instead of it being gray, and that's fine. You know, it's not the most amazing thing, but it's better than nothing. It is much better than nothing. This game didn't have anything. Season 6 is out. This game has less than a month left of its life cycle when BO7 is coming out, and this is it. Black Ops 6 is done. We got all the content, unless they just really surprise us. There is a theory going around that there will be a super Easter egg in Black Ops 7, which is going to count for Black Ops 6 as well, because these games were made simultaneously, but that's really not an excuse. These are being sold as two separate products, $70 and $70. This is not a bundle. This is not a DLC as much as it feels like one. It is not a DLC. These are two separate games. That is not an excuse. That is not good enough. I'm sorry. But I do want to touch on the point of all maps feel the same nowadays. I was talking about that earlier. These maps just don't differentiate at all. I mean, think about, okay, I'll give you Terminus and Citadel, but with that being said, those maps, while they were very different from an atmosphere standpoint and everything, they really don't play that much differently. You're doing the same things. You're upgrading your rarity. You are getting purple armor. You are getting, I guess you can count the wonder weapon, but that's always been a thing for zombies maps, so that's not really a fair argument. But the flow of the map is the same. Do the Easter egg. Finish upgrading your armor and your weapons to max level so you can go to the boss fight and you're done. And they just don't differ enough. And I'm using the best example. I could talk about Shattered Veil and the Reckoning and why those two feel the same. Those two maps were so boring. I really can't stand either one of those maps. I think the Reckoning is a little better. It's serviceable, but man, the Shattered Veil was just I could go on and on about that map. about why that is a bottom 5 zombies map of all time, in my opinion, but I won't. But anyways, back in the day, we were getting... Think about a map like Garad Krovi and Zetsubo. Those maps felt so different, yet they were released back-to-back. They felt completely apart. And then you talk about Drak and Revelations as well. Those maps, all those maps in that game played so differently. They had their own vibe. They had their own aura, if you will, if you want to go there. But they just played so different, and in modern zombies that is just not the case. The biggest offender of this is Cold War. Those maps were so lazy and they felt so samey to each other, and it's boring. It comes across as boring. We're not getting any weapon differentiation. Like, I remember on GK when we got the PPSH that was exclusive to that map. We don't get that anymore, and it just sucks to see. This is not the Treyarch we used to know. Blundell is gone. All those guys that worked on BO2 and 3 are gone. This is just a whole different team, a whole different studio with different priorities. So the Treyarch of old is not the Treyarch of now, and you can really tell. My next point is that modern mechanics are just trash. They're not fun. Like I said, each map you are just upgrading your rarity. You are starting with the best gun in the game. You are upgrading that gun to legendary and PAP 3. And you can argue, well, just start with a pistol then, but that argument doesn't really stand, because especially if you're playing with a party, you are clearly handicapping yourself from the rest of your team, and it doesn't really work, because you're knowingly handicapping yourself. And I'm afraid that curse mode is going to feel that way almost. It's unless you get some sick rewards for it, which I believe they said we will, so fair enough. You will be willingly knowingly handicapping yourself, and it just kind of sucks. Why would I start with a pistol when there's a clear better option in the game to use? And we have armor now. We're literally plating like it's Warzone, which honestly doesn't bother me a ton, but I much prefer like the zombie shield, where you're having to strategize and, you know, place yourself in better situations so zombies can only hit you in the back. And really, that just added a whole new gameplay mechanic that we just don't get anymore. Now, my last point is this Activision's fault? I am going to argue yes and no. So the reason I say yes is because we know the modern day Activision is just greedy and selfish and does not care and does not listen to the community for the most part. We did get the recent SBMM removal for Black Ops 7, which I thought I would never see, but we also know the only reason we got that is because Battlefield 6 is actually kind of blowing them out of the water in terms of pre-orders and sales. Now, Battlefield 6 is already out. It is crushing it, breaking records, and I fear that Black Ops 7 is going to sell very poorly. I think this could be the worst selling COD to date, and we'll kind of see what direction Activision and Treyarch go after this year, because I think it's inevitable that does happen. So the reason I say that this is Treyarch's fault is because, look, Treyarch is the developer, Activision is the publisher. They ultimately have to listen to Activision. At the same time, you can tell that a lot of these maps that come out are just lazy, you know? Like this map, the Ashes of the Damned, looks pretty neat, and I'm excited to give it a shot, but it's just, it's not anything like what we were used to back in the day. And modern Zombies fans will probably comment and say that we always need something to complain about, and sure, whatever. But that's not really the case, because at the end of the day, I love this game and I want to see it succeed. I want to see the mode improve. I want to see it do better. I want to see I just want to see it return to form in a sense. And even if it's not just the old mechanics that we're used to, something new, something fresh. Zombies has felt the same since Cold War, and that was 5 years ago. It's gonna be 6 years soon, and just hasn't really progressed a ton. I do think that Black Ops 6 is a better experience, but at the same time, it just hasn't progressed much as a mode. You look at Black Ops 1 to Black Ops 3. I mean, that's a 5-year period right there, and those games are dramatically different. The core foundation is the same, but those maps and those games differ from another so heavily that it's clear. It's a clear evolution of the mode. What we have now is not the zombies that we used to know. Mechanically, it just is not the same. Sure, it's a round-based experience, but it's just not what we're used to. So I digress. Like I said, I'm still looking forward to Black Ops 7. I will be playing it. I will be getting it day one. I'll be on this game. But with that being said, I have my doubts and my skepticism. I think that Black Ops 6 showed some promise in the beginning and then fell off a cliff, and I figure that we're going to see the same thing happen with this game. But like I said, I enjoyed Black Ops 6 for what it was for the most part, but I can't get behind a lot of the decisions that are being made nowadays. Now, with all that being said, if you guys like zombies discussion videos like this, go ahead and drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe for more, and we're gonna be hitting this pretty much daily until Black Ops 7 comes out. So I'm excited for that. I hope you guys are excited for that, and yeah. Let's just keep doing what we're doing, and if you guys have any thoughts or concerns about Black Ops 7 and the future of the mode, drop it below. Again, this has been Why I Don't Trust Treyarch Anymore, and I will catch you guys on the next one.